Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual discussion on the need and importance of STEM education, hosted by Smile Foundation. I would like to thank our esteemed panelists, our partner organizations, and all our viewers for taking out time and joining us for this webinar. I am Gargi Kapoor, head of the Mission Education Program at Smile Foundation, and today I'll be moderating this session. Very recently, on 28th of February, we celebrated the National Science Day. And quite interestingly, it was science and technology which allowed thousands of children and teachers to come together virtually to mark this day. The Indian education system has continued to evolve over the decades, and just like everywhere else, technology has led the transformation in the education sector too in the 21st century. In particular, the concept of integrating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in curriculum, more popularly known now as STEM education, has come up as an effective and engaging tool for encouraging children's creativity, interest, and curiosity in these fields. As a step forward in the same direction, we are hosting this session today to deliberate on the pivotal role of STEM in education and if it can be a viable tool to bridge the learning gap between privileged and less privileged children. We also look forward to discussing the gaps in the current educational scenario with respect to STEM education and how it can enhance employability in an evolving job market. Understanding the myriad perspectives of various stakeholders in the ecosystem and the commendable initiatives taken so far. But for now, I would like to welcome Mr. Sanjeev Dham, COO Smile Foundation, for opening remarks to this special event. Mr. Sanjeev Dham has more than 3 decades of work experience in the development sector, working on aspects of public health, strategic planning, and effective operations management. He has also worked on forging business partnerships in global markets, leading cross functional teams, and establishing relationships with key stakeholders. Presently, at Smile Foundation, he is chairing the Chief Operating Office and leading the strategic planning process responsible for overall operations of our organization. Over to you, Mr. Dham.
Thank you, Gargi. Very good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us for this very inspiring session today on the importance of a STEM education and how it can be instrumental in bringing the learning gaps between the underprivileged and the privileged children. That's the whole objective that we set for this whole session today. To begin, I would like to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Smile Foundation to all the eminent panelists for the day. Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar, Secretary of Telangana Social Welfare Residential Education Institution Society, Government of Telangana. Mr. Ravindra Kumar, Associate Director, Global Vaccine and Technical Operation, Merck US. Ms. Sunaina Sood, Founder, RoboClub STEM Institute. Dr. Rashmi Vij, Principal, Police, DAV Public School, Jalandhar. Sheetal Ranganathan, Head of Corporate Strategy at Roche. Ms. Himani Gupta, Company Secretary, Legal Counsel in Airbus Group, India. Ms. Benifer, Chief Human Resource Officer and CSR Head, Indostar Capital Finance Limited. And my colleague and beloved member of this panel, Mr. Subrata Rai, Head of Program and the Program Development, as well as Seema Kumar, who's been, heading the Swabhiman as well as Mission Education Program. We eagerly look forward to hear your views on this relevant subject. It clearly telling me the most jobs of the future will require a basic understanding of math and science. Despite compelling facts, the mathematics and science scores on average among Indian students are low. STEM education create a critical thinking, increase science literacy, enable the next generation of innovation. Innovation lead to the two ways, new products and processes that sustain our economy as well as society. This innovation and the science literacy depend on a solid knowledge base in the STEM areas. That's why it's a very important and critical area that we need to make all of us investment in the area for the future generation. In the 21st century, scientific and the technical innovation and innovation have been important as we face benefit and challenges both in the global world. And knowledge-based economy aim to succeed in this new information-based and technological-based society. Students need to develop their capability in STEM to level much beyond what was considered acceptable in the past. The new education policy also stressed upon the improving the quality of education and the shifting focus from the rote learning system to the new education system that encourage is the critical thinking skills, generate the creativity and curiosity for every child, irrespective of his or her economic background. At Smile, we have been thinking in very deeply on this particular subject and making efforts in this direction under our mission education program through various methods under the blended learning approach. Today, we are here to discuss the possibility of bridging this learning divide through one of these methods, STEM learning, which has been evolving at a great pace in education institutions across the country. It does have a potential to be a very powerful learning tool which can and made accessible, available as low cost solution to the larger number of children's, especially underprivileged with limited access to the other advanced learning technology. I just wanted to again leave the stage open for the discussion to begin once again. Thank you and appreciate all of you coming here and joining us for this wonderful discussion. Please enjoy the session to all the target audience. Thank you very much, and over to you, Gargi.
Thank you, Mr. Dham, for starting the session on such a bright note. Before we get into the panel discussions, I would like to share with you all a small video that provides a glimpse of our work at Smile Foundation. Please enjoy the same.
This is a wall. And just like any other wall, it has two sides. On one side, there is a rising middle-class population with disposable incomes. But on the other side, things are not that rosy. We know that, you know that, and people on the rosier side know that. But you know, there are many people on this side who feel this and willing to make a change. Like this. Let the smiles in. Back in 2002, when we started, we felt no matter how big the change you want to bring in, there is no better place to start than education. So far, Smile Foundation has directly provided education to more than 250,000 children. More than 50% of these were girls.
जब कोई मुझसे पूछता है कि लड़कियों को स्कूल क्यों जाना चाहिए, मैं कहती हूँ क्यों नहीं। मैं टीचर बनना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि एक टीचर ही दूसरे को पढ़ा सकती है।
But soon we knew that just education was not going to be enough. The cycle of change won't be complete if we didn't take care of her health, livelihood, and empowerment. In the words of an intelligent man, there is no tool or development more effective than the empowerment of women. We started identifying young women from the community and developed them into change agents as community health educators and volunteers.
स्वाभिमान के इस प्रोजेक्ट चलने में लड़कियों में बहुत बदलाव आया है। सबसे बड़ा बदलाव तो मुझ में आया है कि मैं जहाँ बोलती नहीं थी, निकलती नहीं थी, तो मैं ट्रेन मीटिंगों में आने लगी तो मेरा भी अंदर उत्साह बढ़ा कि मैं भी मीटिंग ज्वाइन करूं। डर डर के बेशक पढ़ लिया और धीरे धीरे करके सीखा, जो आज मैं बिल्कुल नहीं डरती हूँ।
By empowering over 5 lakh women, we have effectively impacted 5 lakh into 10 lives. Now that's a big assistance when we are looking to fill in the huge gap of healthcare needs of the country, where women take care of the entire family but often tend to ignore their own health. And to guide them, there are professionals who bring quality healthcare services to doorsteps of the needy through Smile on Wheels. Smile on Wheels, our unique mobile hospital program, seeks to address problems of mobility, accessibility and availability of primary healthcare in urban slums and remote villages, with a special focus on women and children, making them fit to add to the GDP of the country. To take it a step further, Smile Twin e-learning program creates a pool of people from a section of underprivileged youth through skill enhancement in tandem with market requirements.
हम लोगों की पढ़ाई होती थी जिसमें कि कंप्यूटर, पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट, इंग्लिश, इस सारी चीज़ों में बहुत अच्छे से हम टीचरों ने हमें बहुत अच्छे से सिखाया। मेक इंडिया जर्नी में मेरी 8,000 सैलरी है, बट उन्होंने कहा है कि एक मंथ अगर आप अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस करते हो तो आपकी सैलरी अच्छी हो जाएगी।
We have opened quite a number of doors with help of over 400 responsible corporate and lakhs of individual donors. But we need continued support from people like you to keep these doors permanently open. We wish that one day this wall disappears. Till then, let there be smiles.
अभी मेरे को सुनैना का आ रहा है। अच्छा, yeah, so welcome back, and now we will get to our main agenda. I hope you enjoyed the movie of Smile. And coming back to our main agenda, without further ado, we will start our discussion. Briefly, our panelists, and I would request them to just wave and say a hello to everyone. We have Dr. Ravindra Kumar, who is Associate Director, Global Vaccines and Technical Operations at Merck, USA.
Good evening, everyone.
We will be shortly having with us Dr. R.S. Praveen Kumar, IPS Additional Director General of Police, Government of Telangana. Currently, he is the Secretary of Telangana Social Welfare Residential Educational Institution Society. And owing to his ill health, he will be joining us shortly for 10 to 15 minutes. And we will accordingly see how he joins in, and we'll make him speak with us. Going to next panelist, we have Dr. Rashmi Vij. She's the Regional Officer of all the DAV public schools of the Jalandhar region.
Hi everyone, good evening.
We have with us Ms. Sunaina Sood, who's the founder of Robo Club. We have with us Mr. Shubhrata Roy, who's the Head of Program and Program Management at Smile Foundation.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
We also have with us Himani Gupta, who's the Company Secretary and Legal Counsel, Head CSR at Airbus Group.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
We also have with us Sheetal, who will be joining us a little late today. Sheetal is the Head of Corporate Strategy at Roche. And we also have with us Ms. Benefer Palsetia, who's the Chief Human Resource Officer and CSR Head at Indostar Capital Finance Limited.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
So let's go now and talk about our panel discussions further. Creating the base of the next generation of innovators requires adept academic facilitators with the right skills and knowledge to educate, inspire, and motivate students. Building a scientific temper and offering simple yet innovative methodologies to solve complex problems is a key objective of STEM education. How will we prepare our children for a world that is constantly changing? How will we prepare today's workers for jobs that don't even exist yet? The STEM education gap in India is significant, and it is essential to bridge the gap through various interventions. In our talk today, we will try to answer some of these questions. At the end of the session, we will have open the forum for question and answers. I request you all you viewers, to type in your questions after each presentation in the chat box or keep a note, and we will make sure to address them at the end. Now, let me introduce you to our first panelist for the evening, Mr. Ravindra Kumar, PhD. He is the Associate Director, Global Vaccines and Technical Operations at Merck, USA. Dr. Ravindra had completed his doctoral studies from JNU, India, and in collaboration with Uppsala University, Sweden, in immunology and molecular biology of arthritis. He has extensive experience in biologics and vaccines analytics. He has led multiple complex projects, mentored scientists, led cross-functional groups, analyzed complex data, and published research articles in peer-reviewed journals. In his current role at Merck, he serves as an analytical subject matter expert and leads a group of scientists to support uninterrupted supply of life-saving commercial vaccines. Today, Dr. Ravindra will be throwing some light on the relevance and importance of STEM in education, particularly for India. As we all know, STEM education, known for its focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is relatively a new term in the Indian education sector. Now, with the Government of India also focusing on campaigns such as Make in India, Innovation Mission, there's focus on developing innovation and manufacturing right from schools. This will be the right time for India to rise to the challenge to develop a culture of application based learning, and therefore it is important that we talk about it. Ravindra, please share your views on this.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Gargi, for a kind introduction. So we can start with STEM is not only kind of important for India, but it is globally important. And many countries are providing kind of emphasis and support for the STEM education. So it's whether it's been like developing countries or developed countries, there have been big focus on the technology, science, technology, and engineering. So why there is emphasis on the STEM education? There's emphasis on the STEM education because we live in a very complex world today, and we reap the benefits of the innovation and technological innovation that happened over past several kind of years. And you can see that how the life was before and now, we can see that change. It constantly happens in the process. So in today's time, if you see that the advancement has been made in very innovative technology in the healthcare, and specifically if we talk about healthcare space, the life expectancy of the people used to be very low, like maybe 35 years. But now, given that the advancement in medical science, uh, innovation in finding the cure for the disease or the discovery of the antibiotics and vaccine has increased the lifespan of the human and made a better quality life for the people. And you can see in today's days kind of is very relevant. We are going through the global pandemic, and how does the scientific community across the globe work together to solve this complex problem and have a solution, the vaccines, to prevent the spread of the COVID. So not only in the healthcare sector, but if you see the complex world in the sense of aviation, we have internet, and there are like other technological advancement in telecommunication. And it's only because of the technology we are able to kind of connect globally in real time, like we're having this session where we can share knowledge across the globe. This would have not been possible if you look back maybe 10, 15, 20 years back. But as you can see that the globe is like changing, people are connecting and the world is getting smaller, getting kind of the it's look like kind of the global kind of in the village. So recently there been like rapid change in education. And if we compare our childhood, like when we are going to school, and we are like mentoring our children's, and we see like how their schooling is different. So the focus was more based on like memorizing method, the rote method. But now the focus is shifted toward like more interactive learning, problem solving, skill development, and giving the kids opportunity to ask questions, to explore things. And personally I believe like children are the curious by nature. They learn so many things. They are fast learners. So we need to ignite the passion for science and technology in the kids, so they can develop those kind of learning skill. It's a different environment. It's not just like learning, but it's more toward like solving problems. And given the complex world that we live today, there's a need the people like think innovatively, finding new solution to the problems, and to help the society. So to develop that aptitude in the kids, the STEM can help in that sense. Like it can develop like it can prepare the young minds to do kind of problem solving skill set, being like analytical and experimental. And also not only that part, it's also include the social aspect, not just like doing things like in isolation, but interacting, like communicating, asking questions, because we live in a very collaborative environment where the individual work and teamwork really important. And I think because today's students are tomorrow's leaders, so we need to pave a way for our strong leaders. They can lead our future generations. And given the advancement in the technical aspect, they're going to be like the 21st century. We talk about like the artificial intelligence and also big data. So in terms of like jobs, they're going to be more focused in that area. So we're going to be more opportunity for the kids and for a better life. So back to you, Gargi.
Thank you, Ravindra, for talking about and highlighting about the need and importance of STEM. Following Ravindra, we have Sunaina Sood, who's the founder of RoboClub. She has an entrepreneurial background with extensive experience in fields relating to young children's activities and education. She was awarded Women Education Entrepreneur of the Year at the India STEM Summit Awards 2018, organized by All India Council for Robotics and Automation, supported by the Ministry of Science and Technology of India. Ms. Sood, you just heard Ravindra talk about the necessity of promoting STEM in education in India. You yourself have been actively working in this area and have done some commendable work. We would like to know from you and your experience if and how STEM can help bridge the learning gap between the privileged and the less privileged children. Ms. Sood, over to you. Could you please unmute your...
We can't hear you.
You're not audible, Sunaina. Can't hear you. Yeah, please try speaking. Yeah, Sunaina, we can go to the next session, and I would request you to log in again and try and see if that works. And if possible, if you can please have a pair of headphones along with you, maybe that would help. So we will definitely come back to Sunaina. There is some technical glitch, but that's what STEM is all about. I'm sure we'll be able to fix the technical glitch that we have. And since we are expecting Dr. Praveen Kumar next, but we will be waiting for him and see as and when he joins with us. So we will reserve the points of Dr. Praveen Kumar and move on to the next panelist, who's Dr. Rashmi Vij. Dr. Rashmi Vij is the regional officer of all the DAV public schools in the Jalandhar region. Dr. Vij holds a doctorate in psychology and is a gold medalist in Masters of Psychology. She started her career as a lecturer in HMV College in November 1987 and joined Police DAV Public School. At present, she is the regional officer of all the DAV public schools of Jalandhar region. She is also the manager of Police DAV Public School, Amritsar, Patiala and Ludhiana, and coordinator for all the Police Public DAV schools of Punjab. She is chairperson of Jalandhar Independent School, Sahodaya Complex. She has been felicitated with a number of awards, including the National Teacher Award in 2007 by the then President of India, Srimati Pratibha Patil. We wanted to talk to her in the perspective of how and why we should do STEM education to bridge the gap, and for addressing the gaps, what is it that the schools, the privileged schools, are doing in this aspect. And Dr. Vij, we would like to understand from you what kind of focus you have been giving to STEM learning at your schools and how relevant it has been for the students. Dr. Vij, over to you.
Thank you, Gargi. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are.
See, we are in the third decade of the new millennium, and the world is changing fast, and people everywhere are aware of this change, which is changing faster than anybody had ever imagined. The global economy is changing. Its current jobs are disappearing due to automation, and new jobs are emerging every day as a result of technological advances. The continual advances in technology are changing the way students learn, connect, and interact every day. We need to expose our children to skills which will help them succeed not only in school but in later life as well. So that means that we as principal have to prepare our children with the 21st century skills, because when they go in the job market, it will be entirely different from what it is today. And when we come to think of what are the most important skills, the four skills which have been considered to be the most important are the four C's. One is the collaboration, the other is communication, then is the critical thinking, and then is creativity. If we come to think of it, these are the essential skills which are inherently present in human beings. If we think of a man at the time of the Stone Age, when he had hunting as the prime vocation, he needed collaboration when he needed to overpower big animals or to hunt for them. And for collaboration, he needed to communicate with each other. And then how to manage creatures much bigger than them, they had to do critical thinking and problem solving, and every time find new and creative ways. So that makes us realize that these are the skills which were true at that time and are true at present and will be in the future as well. And the underlying of them is the creativity, the most important, which is a playable human activity, which everybody really enjoys. Had it not been true, there would not have been paintings on the caves at that time as well, when man lived in the primitive age. But when I think deeply about it, I think Mr. Rabinder also mentioned, we all realize that what is very, very important is the curiosity, which underline all these C's, the one C, that is curiosity. And every child is born with that curiosity. And I think when a small child is exploring the world, trying to understand the world, he is asking questions all the time. Why it happens, how it happens. And there have been a lot of studies about curiosity. And one of study pointing out that by the age of 8 years, the child starts losing that curiosity. And I have wondered about that why does it happen? It happens because of our education system. Because especially in our country, by the time they are 8, that is in grade 3 or 4, we start providing them with ready-made answers. We ask them to rote learn them, mark them up, and word by word reproduce them in the exam and get top grades. So the child realizes that all the answers already exist. I just have to mug them up and reproduce them. And all my teachers and my parents want is those grades. So suddenly, slowly, they start losing this curiosity. And when I think as educationists, all of us are familiar with this, that this is what happens to our children. But this is what STEM is all about. It is a way of life, a way of teaching, a way of learning, I would say. Because in STEM, we are trying to tell children that all subjects are interconnected and they're connected to life itself and not away from it. Because we all understand that when we teach them science, maths, and the way we teach them, it seems as if it is something away from life. So that is how they start losing interest of exploring and wanting to know more about their surroundings, because there is a disconnect between the classroom and the real life. So when we come to STEM and education in our schools, what we do is that we tell children that it is the process which is more important than the final product. So we are trying to give them problems and make them solve those problems. So one of the method in our school is to give them a big problem and let them explore the solutions to that problem, finding smaller problems in between. Like I was thinking that when my children are back in school, the big problem I will give them that how does the world prepare itself that such pandemics do not come in future? Or even if they do, how do we handle them? So this is now a big question under which they will have to find solutions. First, the small problems, and then the solutions connected to it. And which might include that how do we develop better masks, how do we create better oxygen plants, and things like that. Or we could give them a big problem like how to handle the pollution of Delhi, city of Delhi, when it is the harvest time in Punjab. Is smog because of the problems in Punjab, or it is to do the regular pollution in Delhi? So it is a big problem. Under that, they have to find out what is the right amount of oxygen in the air. How do we maintain them? What methods do we take in? So it might involve geography as well as if we were to take the basic issues of science. So if we have to create our children as future problem solvers, we have to make them solve the problems. And for that, we have to give them the research orientation. And what is the research orientation? When we do research, what do? We first have a problem. So we state the problem. Then we hypothesize. We have a hypothesis as to what will be the probable solutions to that problem. And so we have to train our children into finding a problem if we have a problem. Then finding the alternate solution, and then framing of a hypothesis. Then review of the previous literature. Now, with the Google being present, our children have access to all the information. They can go back and find what are the various solutions which other countries found out to those big problems and how they have sorted it out. So once they do the research, they come across data, interpretation of that data, and then compilation of data and coming out to the conclusions. So I think one big way of implementing STEM in our schools is that. But for that, what we need is one very important thing. I have seen that in our country as teachers, as parents, what we lack is that patience which will give to perseverance to our children. We want immediate solutions because we want immediate grades. And that is the problem, because we do not let them sustain on a problem Or when they find out solution, we say, oh, this is an absurd solution. This won't work. How do you think this is the solution? But if they would keep working on it again and again, they would find out the solution. One reporter once asked Edison that, Mr. Edison, you failed 1,000 times and still how did you continue working? So he said, oh, I did not fail 1,000 times. I tried 1,000 ways of working, finding a solution which didn't work. But in the end, I found the solution. So that was only because he had that perseverance. All scientists in the world are known to be in their labs for a long time, finding the solution. We didn't come overnight. Albert Einstein, we all look up to him. And once he said a beautiful line. He said that it's not that I am smarter. It is only that I let a problem stay on with me longer than others. So I think what we need to do under the STEM education is very importantly, we need to be patient. We tell the children that try out ways. Nothing is wrong. There is no grading in that. There is no right or wrong response in that. And I'm very happy that our new education policy has also placed lots of emphasis on experiential learning and art integration learning. There is CBSE also doing a lot of work on experiential and art integration, and we have been trying to implement it in our school, where we are letting the children do hands-on and experience with the full body experience involving their cognition, psychomotor, and affective modalities. So we need to understand that it is important that children find the interdisciplinary approach and linkages between all the subjects and not separate them. When we talk of art integration, we talk about that we have to bring art as a medium, as a process, so that children find it joyful, so that they enjoy the whole process of learning rather than finding it boring and theoretical. So art is used as a medium. Now, the many schools in US are realizing the importance of integrating art, and that is why we have a new thing coming up, which is called from STEM. It is called STEAM. So it is integrating art also in it. That it is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, because art stands for creativity. When we talk of physics, chemistry, that is, this leads to this. This means this. It is so theoretical. There is no creativity involved in it. And if we want future scientists, if we want future inventors, then they have to be creative people. So where would the creativity come from? The creativity would come from arts. So when we say that STEM gives them the essential skills, it will give them the essential skills if we involve art into it also. So that is why the new education policy is putting a lot of focus on art integration, and they are emphasizing that all teachers realize that art has to be given equal importance along with the STEM, so making it from STEM to STEAM. Another point which I want to point out as a school principal, which I think has not been taken up, but I know I saw in the movie that Smile Foundation is doing a lot of things about it and are aware about it, and that is the lack of involvement of girl students in STEM. We realize in our schools that when children opt for subjects, so a lot of girls opt for medical stream and boys opt for non-medical stream. I don't know why, especially in our country, but all over world also, that I read somewhere that three times more boys opt for STEM more than girls. If I asked all of you just now to close your eyes and think of a name of a scientist, and everybody would think of Einstein, Edison, I named them, or all other male scientists. Nobody will immediately think of a female scientist, because when we think of a scientist, we think of a man, right? And that is the reason that we do not have enough role models to show to our girls. And in the past, in the gender stereotype, when I was small, I remember my father telling, oh, if you will become an engineer, they'll send you for a duty here or there, because at that time, engineers were mechanical engineers mostly. So we had that option that they will go into marketing and they will be out of the house all the time. And when now I look at the job market, most of the software engineers work from home. So perfectly suited to a girl's career if she has to manage the life work balance. But we are still not beating that bias. Even in US, I saw a interview of President Obama where he was saying that I really wish my own daughters took more interest in STEM. And he was encouraging that more girls should come forward for STEM. So it's a huge issue that we have kept a marginal side of our society on the margins, a major side, part of our society on the margins, and not involved directly them in the STEM. So I think we need to bring the children into girls into this field. Other issue, which is that we need to popularize it. For privileged children also, we need a lot of things to be done. I appreciate that Niti Aayog started the concept of tinkering labs in our schools. Our school was among the top 250 schools to get the grant for the Turtle Tinkering Lab, and it is working in our school. But still there is, and I think children really enjoy going to that lab, and they have found interesting solutions with the help of the 3D printer, like creating a robotic arm for a disabled person and such things, and they have got awards for it. But one area of vacuum which I can present is as a school principal is that our education colleges are not producing the STEM workforce. It is a huge issue because we have a lab, but we have teachers overloaded with their curriculum and their syllabi to finish. When I tell them why we're not using the lab, because they have to first face the CBSE board exams. Our NEP is suggesting that they will reduce the curriculum or the syllabi, and I'd really look forward to that. I'm sitting with my fingers crossed that that would really happen, because if we really want to involve students, they need time. I think the biggest issue we have is the time management. And then I realized the funding, the way US government is doing the funding in the project they started in 2008 about innovation in education. We also need to do that. If we really want our children to experiment, and they will waste a lot of material, lot of damages will be done, because everything happens with trial and error, even in science. So at the school level, at college level, a lot of funding is required, because having a lab is one thing, but having budgets to really make it run and managing the time is another big thing. So I really hope that that thing is also taken care of. So another point which, let me see which point is left is, yeah, so I think I have covered most of the points which I wanted to share, but I want to say one thing, and that is that in India, if we have to bring in the change, we all have to train at least, if not new teachers, the present teachers. Their training, their orientation is very important. I have been doing a lot of training in experiential learning, in art integrated learning for my teachers and teachers of my zone and other schools, because I really feel that there needs to be a total paradigm shift, because so far our children are disengaged. They are bored in the classroom because the joy and the fun of learning is gone. So if we want to make everywhere we read that India makes the topmost scientists, that India has largest number of engineers, even placed in US. But I feel, where are the inventors? Where are the innovators? And Indians are known to be very creative people. So if we have to really make creative people, then STEM must come in all our classrooms, beginning from elementary classroom. If an elementary teacher has to teach, she's supposedly reading out a story like Three Pigs, and where the three pigs make various houses, and one makes with straw, and other makes with wood, and other makes it with the bricks. So the one with the straw, the wolf blows away. One with the wood, wolf blows away. But wolf cannot blow away the one with the bricks. So now teacher brings in STEM here, with a very small children also, because I realized that if we will not retain their curiosity, as I said earlier, if we will not orient them in STEM right from the very beginning, we will not be able to do it once we reach grade 7 or 8, because now they are the sad passive recipients of the knowledge we give them. They do not construct knowledge along with the teacher and do not create knowledge, which is the need of the hour. So if we do not change our ways, we cannot make STEM a reality in our privileged or underprivileged schools. So that's all I have to say. And thank you so much, Gayatri.
Thank you, ma'am. And it was really nice knowing your side of the story. We really appreciate your guidance towards developing a future-ready young generation. And you've rightly mentioned that along with the new education policy, which is really promising, we need to really make that kind of investment in our systems so that we stimulate the young minds at the right time. It is really imperative that we do that. And with that, I would like to ask Sunaina if your mic is ready, then maybe we take upon the topic that we wanted to discuss with you. If you could just say hello and I can see if your mic is working, Sunaina. Okay. So I think Sunaina seems to be disconnected for the while, and we'll get back to her again. And now, after this very useful insights from the privileged sector, let's go to the other side of the story. And it is time for us to look at the challenges that exist on the other side for the lesser privileged children when it comes to STEM education, and how civil society organizations like Smile Foundation are working to address these challenges. I would like to call upon Mr. Subrata Roy, who's the Director Program and Program Development at Smile Foundation, to talk on this aspect. Mr. Roy has a bachelor's in engineering from the National Institute of Technology, followed by a postgraduate degree in management from Xavier Institute of Management. He has an experience of more than 24 years and has worked in the focus areas of skilling, livelihood, healthcare, and education. With the scientific temperament that he has, his able guidance really helps us at Smile to glide through the STEM education projects effectively. So over to you, Mr. Roy.
Thanks, Gargi. You really flattened me out with this intro. And I really enjoyed Dr. Rashmi Vij. I mean, it reminded me of my childhood, of the school days. And the questions you have raised or the concerns you have raised are very pertinent, and I always encourage students to ask questions. And once they ask questions and they know things themselves, that's how they will learn. They'll grow in the future leadership path. First of all, I would like to thank all the eminent speakers of the panel, teachers, students, friends in audience for sparing your time for active participation to engage your views on the importance of STEM education in 21st century. Smile Foundation has been working in the field of education for now close to 2 decades through Mission Education Program. It has benefited more than 25 million children. We touch the lives of 50,000 children every year across India. Smile Foundation has always focused on the holistic development of children, encouraging students to have their own dream and helping them pursue the same is one of our primary objectives. And interestingly, the journey of the STEM education in Smile started with requesting Airbus to grant access to flight simulator, to receiving a project to start STEM education to government schools with 400 children, and now we are initiating STEM education in more than 10 schools with support of other donors. Thank you, Himani, for that, and thank you, Airbus, for that, to initiate the process of STEM education with us. As we all know, that government schools are set up in low-resource settings, and teachers are overburdened with administrative role. So we have adopted two-pronged strategy while taking the STEM education. First, we established STEM lab to instill curiosity among the students to understand the fundamental of science and how it works, and also to have that experience hands-on. And then second, school teachers as a facilitator to quench their curiosity and to guide them, that, this is the principle, how you can, how this functions and what is the principle behind it. So explaining that hands-on is something which can, make these subjects very interesting for them. So we established the STEM lab primarily with the physics experiments for 8th onwards, and we wish to do it for even the younger children, and map the experiments with the syllabus so that all the concepts they have learned as per the syllabus, they can actually experience it hands-on. Going forward, the classes of physics will happen in STEM lab so that whatever they're learning, they understood then and there, and they can actually, instead of visualizing it in their mind, they can actually see it there itself and can experience that. Due to COVID, there were certain challenges, and since the classes were not happening in the school, so our coordinators did a wonderful job of creating WhatsApp groups with the students, then with the community meetings, those who don't have the mobile phone, which is roughly good 60% of children don't have mobile phones, to share the articles, videos, and to make toys from the trash, because that's the kind of resources they have at home while they're not in school. Thanks to Mr. Arvind Gupta's portrait, toys from trash, which has helped them to nurture their curiosity during this period. Students have made toys from waste products like plastic bottles, straw, use CDs to make hovercraft, then balloon boat, then slow sand filter, then water pump, and simple DC motors, and other many more toys. And understanding the principles of physics and chemistry through that, how the Newton's third law works, how the electromagnetic work. So those kind of concepts were easier to explain through that process. What we're trying to do is next step is to apply this knowledge in real life. As everybody said that, and that's the main purpose of the STEM also, that how you apply all the concepts or all the learnings which you've learned into the real life situation. So what we are going to do now is basically that once the student calculates how much drinking water they require for at home, and then can design a slow sand water filter for that. And if they need to put solar panels, how much is the load which is there at home to calculate that, and also what is the wattage which each solar panel provides, and calculating that, and then convert it to that, okay, X number of panels are required for my home, and how to design a solar cooker which can cook rice for their own family for that. So those things will give you that understanding that how with the simple things which can be done at household, you can actually bring the whole concept of science, mathematics, engineering, all put together, and can come up with a product which gives them more confidence also, and it will help retain the knowledge which they have got, which will be a long lasting. Also, what we have are initiated is that students of grades will now will be in charge of the STEM lab, so they have a sense of ownership, and once they move up the ladder, so they are going to do the similar knowledge transfer to the children which will be joining in 8th class or 9th class as they move on. And the teachers, on the other hand, will show the videos of how the stuff works or made, exposure visits to factories, and also science museums, and to help them to make their own models with the small items. They will also facilitate the students to take part in various science competitions, which is conducted by CBSE, then Department of Science Technology, like Toll4Jo, then also Tinker Labs, and also the other schools, even the privileged schools, like yours there. So we have also, apart from what we have also realized while we are working in the government schools, that while they have the chemistry lab and the physics lab, but the infrastructure is not up to the mark, and they requested that if we can make a slab for them where the chemistry experiments can be done. So what we have done, that we are augmenting the infrastructure within the school, so that more microscopes can be put, more the regions can be used for doing the practicals, and everybody can have a hands-on experience rather than only the teacher showing with one sample, and students don't have of other tools to experience the same thing themselves. Thanks to Airbus, we also donated a laptop which the students who are meritorious students of 10th, they can actually go online and can learn, can gather more materials, and also They can learn from open sources like Khan Academy and other also sources which can improve their knowledge beyond what they have. As Dr. Vij, you said that the current teachers also have a very need to be trained. So in the parallel process, these online learning, the open office software, open soft knowledge platforms will be very helpful for the students to learn new concepts and better understanding of the concepts. It's just a beginning. Hopefully, students will also learn programming and coding and become critical thinker and, of course, the team player. And most of the even be COVID solutions for the COVID or making a product from uranium or any kind of scientific innovations requires a collaborative approach. And if we can through this process can make them a team player, I think that will be one of the biggest achievements we can ever do apart from the curiosity. It gives us immense pleasure now that all the students ask us how things work on more projects, providing the curiosity. And the curiosity has been kindled, and now they will find the answers to their queries through their own self-discovery. And that's what is is an automatic journey. Once you have kindled that desire, I think the rest will be easy cakewalk for all of us. I would like to end my talk with a small video showing the experience of children and also thank the teachers, school principal, and the team to make it happen. Hope you will enjoy it. Thank you, Gargi, for that. And
विंड एनर्जी कन्वर्टेड इनटू इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी। ये मॉडल आपको ये डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करता है कि हम लोग हवा से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कैसे बना सकते हैं।
हमने इसमें पानी भर रखा है। जब हम इसमें थोड़ा सा फोर्स करेंगे तो ये ज्यादा उठ रहा है। इसमें हमारा पास्कल का लॉ लागू हो रहा है। पास्कल का लॉ फॉर्मूला होता है P = F/A। P का मतलब प्रेशर, F का मतलब फोर्स और A का मतलब एरिया। जब हमारे पास एरिया कम होता है तो हमारा फोर्स ज्यादा लगता है।
That was really nice. Thank you, Subrata sir, for the keen insights that you've provided on the topic. And what we do at Smile, it's always a pleasure to look at the children and the engaging activities that they are doing on ground and how we are stimulating the young minds. And so, Naina, I hope your mic is working now. Then we would definitely like to hear from you because your panel discussion is due. Can we test your mic, please, once, Sunaina? Can you please unmute yourself once? Okay, I think we will have to take Sunaina back again. For the meanwhile, let's move on and after the very nice insights that we got from Shubhrato Roy. Now it is time for us to dive into the future and connect the dots between STEM education that children are receiving today to the job prospects of tomorrow. The growth of any economy can be bolstered by a workforce that has advanced skills in the field of STEM. Occupations in STEM related careers are some of the fastest growing in the 21st century, and they often have the greatest potential for job growth. To further highlight upon this issue, I would like to invite our next panelist, Ms. Sheetal Ranganathan, Head of Corporate Strategy at Roche India and Venture Partner GrowX Ventures. Ms. Ranganathan is a biomedical researcher turned business leader, startup advisor and investor in health tech and life sciences, mentor at National Health Authority's Innovation Unit, Government of India. She is a columnist and opinionator in health and policy. So over to you, Ms. Sheetal. Let's hear from you.
Thank you, Gargi, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and really lovely to meet and hear my fellow panelists. Hello to all of you as well as the listeners. I think we've discussed a lot of things. You've already heard a lot of perspectives on STEM. And since I've been asked to speak mostly on the job prospects and the economic prospects of how STEM could actually help students, or taking up STEM could help students in their careers and in general forming a perspective towards life and becoming future ready. So I want to make two broad points really, of which the first one is that learning STEM subjects can no longer be seen as optional. If we have to ensure that our country's youth is prepared to keep pace with today's society, which is now transformed into a knowledge society. So obviously history has shown how a nation's overall socioeconomic growth is very strongly correlated with its technological and innovation caliber. And our current time on earth is actually governed by apps and gadgets that have added invaluable convenience and utility to our lives. And 2020 will certainly go down in history as a year when science and tech saved our civilization. So the speed at which we've seen the new vaccine has been conceived, developed and made available for mass use from this ferocious virus in less than a year is just unheard of. So, as I said, with technology defining one's basic choices in when, where, what to eat, what to wear, how to travel and all that, these are very basic needs and not the most complex decisions that we take in our lives. It's no longer an option that the students decide to drop STEM subjects at one point in time in their school life. Now, that is also a marked change from how our education system and the societal framework has been operating for years. Maybe I can take a minute to explain what I mean to say here is that, school time is obviously meant to mold a person, a playful child, into a logical adult. And however, inevitably and very early on in our school lives, we are labeled, we are identified as a math person or not. And this is probably first of the many labels that are imposed on a person's life and this label really is stuck on to our personalities, and all that is based on is someone's scores, how someone is scoring in tests in maths or science subjects at elementary levels. And test scores or marks are therefore which are actually reflective of only one's book learning skill and not really an indicator of someone's intelligence or problem solving caliber, which is one of the most important skills that one develops after learning, by being in touch with STEM subjects. So these test scores or test taking smartness that is being tested in today's system is in fact seeding anxiety and fear for these subjects. And a further fear or negativity is added by back-breaking coursework, tongue twister names, and not to discount the bitter competition that exists in our world today. So it's a heady mix that pushes very capable and even interested students in STEM towards non-STEM majors, at the post-secondary education stage. And sometimes people reluctantly persist, those who are actually not interested in STEM, because STEM subjects are also labeled as something where you hope to be compensated well for all the discomfort that you've taken through your studenthood life by taking these difficult subjects, by eventually landing a secure job later. So I think it's time that we as an education system also fall in line with how a few other countries are measuring school learning outcomes of their young people, which is not based on the usual 3R framework. It is actually based on a student's performance on problem solving, which is tested through science and math questions. It is tested through financial literacy or overall the analytical skills or comprehension skills when it comes to languages. So this is really the true measure of a country's youth's preparedness to meet the challenges of today's knowledge societies, and that's where STEM can help. The second point specifically that you've asked me to speak about is how STEM is connected with employability. So I can give you many reasons, but the prime three reasons that I believe are very important, and I feel why should students befriend maths and science related subjects at school is, number one, it helps, a STEM training helps in people to become thought leaders or thought shapers. One is said to have emerged as a leader from the crowd if he or she is able to comprehend and successfully lead the crowd out of tricky situations. Now, this is a universal life skill, which people commonly call as, this person can make sense of things, or he or she will just figure it out. Now, these are essentials of leadership. These are not just risk-taking capabilities or personality-driven traits to take a crowd along. These are outcomes of nurturing one's analytical skills, so that if someone is put into an unknown situation or something that is absolutely new, someone who has training in analyzing things can simplify the problem the problem statement that has been given to that person, and not suddenly get scared. And that's one of the most important thing to be a good leader or a thought shaper. And it's not necessarily that if one takes STEM subjects, they have to become a scientist or a mathematician. One can experiment or cross over into so many careers which are outside of traditional science and engineering or technology careers, or that are available, just because by being trained in STEM subjects, the person has developed a lot of analytical skill and a problem solving ability, which is, by the way, a very handy superpower to have. The other reason I can think of is that, it's just cool. It just gives you a very, it gives you cool career choices, so a yesteryear's geek is now the new cool in a lighter vein. So we know that most intellectually challenging and well-compensated jobs of future will be up for those who can think in an abstract manner, who can comprehend complex ideas, and those who can learn quickly, change quickly, and don't shy away from failure. And all these attributes are sharpened by STEM training. I mean, this is what science teaches us, right? That experiment, don't worry about failure, failure also is nothing but really, you know, it's like an exclusion mechanism to figure out what will not work. And therefore, you are only taking away or striking off certain possibilities that you believed could have worked and do not work. So now things are only become clearer to reaching towards your final goal. So, so I think that, and it is certainly a myth again that one lands up with such good opportunities or job opportunities if only one has had superlative test scores. At least in the last few years, very big companies and uh, reputed companies have started to say that test scores or the colleges or the degrees that you may have garnered over the years may not matter. What matters is that what you're bringing to the table. And all this this skill is nurtured with engaging teaching methods and positive motivation by teachers and family. Where STEM training together with all of that can constitute this nurturing tonic for one's inherited intelligence to become a problem solver. Then I think the third reason why a person with STEM has a better employability is that the overall confidence that someone can gain by being associated with these subjects, because overall STEM subjects build scientific temperament in a person. So it builds this very important spirit in a person to question status quo and be courageous enough to accept feedback, to manage change, because the basic tenet of science education is residing in the idea of objectivity or universalism, which is to look at facts and things without biases. And therefore, people who are trained in STEM, I think makes them better positioned to appreciate humanism and realize the functional irrelevance of factors such as which are the problems that we have in the world today, right? Discrimination based on gender or race or outward appearance or disability or religion, etc. So, our history is tormented with wars fought for power and ideologies. And those were the times when practices such as sati or apartheid existed. So obviously people who could break through these status quo situations were those who had the ability to take the risk and the boldness to think differently. And that is exactly what STEM education, is the basic skill that imparts to people, which is an analytical aptitude. And that aptitude will not be used to its full potential if it is used only selectively at the workplace. It trains people in changing one's outlook to life and the overall tenets of living. And that's why I think it makes you a more confident individual who can contribute to the society in a more constructive manner. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheetal. It was really nice hearing from you, and for bringing in a new angle to our discussion. All stakeholders can play respective roles in ensuring that STEM learning is effectively implemented, and how we should encourage children at the young ages, whether privileged, underprivileged. It's very important. Your insights were really helpful. And I would, before going to the last section, I would again like to test if Sunaina's mic is working, because we would really like to hear from her. She has very nice entrepreneurial background, and the way she is working with the children, it will be really good for us to hear from her. Sunaina, can we hear from you? Is your mic working? I think there's some technical glitch yet. So not wasting any minute further, I would like to go to the next topic. And organizations dependent on a workforce that is proficient in STEM concepts have a responsibility to use their capabilities and resources to make students, teachers, and the economy stronger. As such, more and more companies are embracing opportunities to utilize their role in industry to further STEM education. Towards this, companies are providing significant funding and support commitments across the spectrum of continuous learning in form of scholarships and employing volunteer support, as well as supporting these efforts by generating interest in STEM education among students, providing development opportunities to science teachers, preparing candidates for specific jobs in the industry through vocational courses. I would like to now invite representatives from two leading corporates who have been collaborating with SMILE to transform the space of education for the less privileged in the country. First of all, I would like to introduce Ms. Himani Gupta, who is the CSR head of Airbus Group in India. She is a qualified company secretary and a law graduate with more than 13 years of experience dealing in governance, M&A, corporate social responsibility and compliances. She's working as a CSR head with Airbus since 2013 and has been supporting the business on various transactional matters, procurement, compliance, contracts, partnerships, and joint ventures. With support from Airbus, Smile Foundation is implementing STEM education in government schools across two locations of Gurugram and Bengaluru. Ms. Himani, please share your views on the role of corporates can play in promoting STEM education. Over to you, Himani.
Thank you, Gargi, for setting this wonderful contest here. I also like to thank Dr. Rashmi Vij, emphasizing, and I cannot emphasize more on that, why we require STEM education, why our students should have all the tools to learn and adapt the STEM learning, and why corporates should come and support STEM education through either their own flagship programs or through different NGOs. As we have discussed so far, world is changing, so as the corporates are also changing. Very soon, in near future, we would be requiring lots of workforces who are capable enough, as Mrs. Rangarathan has just mentioned, that workforce which is adaptive, which is innovative, which is scientific, which has a scientific temperament, and has an analytical aptitude to adapt changes. We need to prepare our future workforce with all those elements so that the future needs, be it any manufacturing firm, be it IT industry, be it any sort of industry who require workforce, should have all these elements. We will require data scientists, we will require engineers, we will require experts in artificial intelligence. From where we will get all these resources, human resources, unless and until we prepare our current generation to adapt themselves for the future needs? That's where the corporate can play a major role. As Mr. Subruto said that, and Dr. Rashmi Vij has rightly emphasized, that we need to invest, the corporates, not only the schools, not only the different NGOs, but the corporates also should come forward and invest in developing the future generation to accept the future challenges as well. So now, where we can invest, where and how corporates can come and support STEM education. Our current program, which Airbus is doing along with Smile Foundation in two government schools, Bangalore and Gurugram, it consists of mainly 4 pillars, I would say. And this is where, I can see a good STEM program which a corporate is funding or corporate is collaborating can work on. First, I would say a financial, of course, capital investment, which is through the CSR programs where we, and maybe through different programs, just not the CSR. I would say if the organization has inclusion and diversity program, which supports the girls' education, and I've heard Ms. Ranganathan has just said that why girls are not taking science stream, and they are the majority of the girls dropping off after taking science in maybe 11 plus 10 after completing their 10th education. So that's where CSR program and inclusion diversity teams can come and play the big role, getting the financial support to the schools different through the different NGOs. The corporates can sponsor STEM labs, converting maybe the different chemistry or physics labs into a STEM lab, scholarship to the engineering students, um, and of course, as we have just recently done, if we have the additional resources which can be used by the students, then why not? Donating the laptops, IT instruments, which can be used by the underprivileged school children to get the flavor of STEM education, so that their interest can keep on building, and after their 10th education they can adopt science as their mainstream, and further on they can enhance their skills, their knowledge, and can take future programs like engineering, some programs in aviation. So that capacity building of students will definitely start from post secondary education, or maybe before that, the sixth standard students, seventh standard students, and later on we can encourage them to take science, maths, and engineering as their future subject. So that is the first area where corporates can support the schools and the NGOs. So finance finance is just not the main element. Of course it's play major role, but the second major role where corporates can support the schools is voluntary, the human capital. I cannot emphasize more on the fact that it's just not the students who require an adaptation on STEM, but we really need to build the capacity building for the teachers who provides their support to the students in learning, giving different flavor of the STEM while doing the CBSE learning. So we need to incorporate all those elements through the capacity building of teachers. And this is where the corporates can come and play their role by supporting the teachers plus the students through their mentorship programs, through employee engagement programs where we can visit schools, we can talk to teachers, we can engage with the students and see where the problem is, how we can support them just not you know getting the the STEM lab done, but how the employees can further engage in getting all these DIY experiments and day-to-day learning, how they can engage with them through online learning. So that is another important pillar where corporates, by giving that leverage to employees, can continue, can help and support the students in their continuing learning. The third pillar, which I also, feel strongly, and as an Airbus, we have seen in past that just again funding and voluntary by employee is not enough. We also need some specific design programs where we can encourage students to take science, to take STEM education uh, from the primary education itself. So like as Subrata mentioned that lots of so this except this COVID situation, we have been inviting different schools to our Airbus premises for their industrial visit. We also encourage, and other corporates, I'm sure they are also doing that. They are also encourage training programs, their 5-7 days apprenticeship programs, internship programs, where the kids can get how other corporates are working, because they have learned and they require STEM education while performing their jobs. Plus, also there are certain programs which corporates can include, like Tinkering Lab sponsorship. Maybe we can sponsor the 3D printers in the school, so that the kids can get habitual of or can get some interest in developing their STEM learning. So, so I think all if all these elements are part of your STEM program, it will definitely help students in developing the interest of STEM education. This is where I think the NGOs, different schools, and the corporates can collaborate together and bring on table some good strategy how we can develop uh, the interest of kids and prepare them for the future needs. The fourth pillar, which is also very important, is advocacy, the policy. And Dr. Rashmi Vij rightly mentioned that Niti Aayog and corporates can pitch in along with the Niti Aayog, uh, just not the national level, but also how the different corporates, schools can come together and develop a good, a very holistic program towards and which can be incorporated in our CBSE curriculum, the STEM education. So corporates who have definitely some say or some influence can use that and can do that advocacy with the different state governments, local authorities, and the central government to put forward the STEM education as a part of the CBSE curriculum. So I think that's how Airbus is and has been developing the STEM program. And in near future, of course, we would be happy to work with Smile on the different STEM program, which is not only for these two schools, but maybe near future we can look for more schools participating in STEM program. So thanks, Gargi. That's from my side.
That was really interesting, actually, Himani, and for letting us on in Airbus Vision and talking about the 4 pillars. It was really interesting because we also feel the holistic development children gain through the kind of volunteering opportunities really opens their minds, and it lets them practice the experiential learning, and it's really very helpful. And we are really thankful for partners like you, who are the partners in change and help children with such kind of opportunities. Now I would like to invite Ms. Benaifa Palsetia. She's the CHRO and CSR head at Indostar Capital Finance Limited. After taking the mantle of CSR, she initiated several CSR projects revolving around the critical social themes of education, women empowerment, sanitation, humanitarian, and environmental issues. Her effort to make a positive impact was recently recognized as she was awarded the Global HR Excellence Award, and organization received Best Corporate Social Responsibility Practice Award at World HRD Congress in February 2021. Recently, she also featured in the Human Capital magazine's January 21 publication, where she voiced her views on hybrid working model. Skill development has always been her prime focus, as she feels education along with implementation can help the 21st century youth achieve new heights of success. Ms. Palsetia, kindly give us a glimpse into the CSR initiatives Indostar has been doing in the field of education, particularly STEM, and how corporates, civil society organizations, and government together can make this a real solution to address inequity in learning opportunities in the country. Over to you, Benaifa.
Hi, everyone, and good evening. Thank you so much, Gargi, for such a lovely introduction, and I really appreciate that. Touching back upon what Ma'am Viz has said, Madam Ranganathan has said, and I think the CEO also pointed out, I wanted to highlight few things that they said about STEM in terms of this whole phobia. A maths person hai, is he a maths person? Does he know the numbers well? Does he understand well? We built everything around this phobia of having a good understanding on maths or a good understanding on science. And that's how we look at the education system also. Honestly, we push the kids to a certain extent where they actually develop this phobia. And to touch the very, very critical point, and I really want to emphasize, and I thoroughly myself believe, before we groom, train the kids, it is our mindsets that need to change as parents, and we have to invest in grooming the teachers. I think this pandemic showed everybody how the whole organizations changed, how the whole world changed, how you interact with people, how students can be taught. I think the students are the biggest setback community that is there of this pandemic. They were stranded at home with this one laptop, with no friends, nothing and everything. Whether it is the most, I would say, eminent person's child or a person who's, studying out of a rural background. The point what I'm trying to make is that children adapt. It is our mindsets that take time to adapt. So I think we need to invest in teachers. We need to invest in mechanisms that help our mindset change. And that also not only in teachers, but also our corporate mindsets. I think Ranganathan touched upon that point, that we have to look at, organizations need to start looking at it. Oh, do I really need an IIT only? I mean, fine, he's worked hard, he's got the grades, he's got everything. But can we not look at somebody else? We need to look at this as a holistic approach in terms of employability of most of our children who come out of these things. Second, what we corporates can do for the underprivileged children is to bring them to a platform of competition. Yes, don't give them, concessions or upgrade, but yes, give them facilities. And corporates, we can. So we need to work together with the organizations like NGO, like Habitat or like Salam Bombay, specifically Smile and Salam Bombay, which are very much interested and are doing a lot more in terms of the people and the children and developing the girl child, educating the girl child. So we can invest in these schemes. We can invest our initiatives, our talents, our intentions, our finances, our employee engagement, creating an idea about a corporate responsibility among each of the employees. Because everybody, if they can't afford money, but they at least can afford some time, they can give some motivational discussions, they can be available for teaching certain hours. So those are certain initiatives I think we as corporate need to look at. At Endostar, we always call it as CSR with a twist, because we not only look at funding the organization, but we also look at the overall development of the organization and the schemes that we sign up for, but also looking at very high intentional employee engagement programs where we have continuous efforts and tie up for the specific zones or areas or local rural areas where we have our local leaders facilitating those programs, and then they talk about it. They are available to go meet those kids, give motivational speeches, offer employment in what possible ways for the women empowerment projects that we undertake. So these are some of the things that I feel are extremely critical, and we really need to focus on those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Benefer. I think it was a really insightful, short and sweet, but really insightful, sharing. And what I could relate to and what I could hear coming up again and again was definitely investment that we do, that we should do in the concept of, building a skillful workforce for the future is what I hear coming up from all of you again and again, from all the panelists here. And this is something which has been resonating today, and I think it is the need of the future as well. So, having said that, let's go to our last but not the least. We've been trying Sunaina, and I think probably hers one is going to be the most special one. Yeah, thanks that we could really hear you while you were
Am I
here.
audible now?
Yes, you're totally
can you hear
audible,
me?
and I'm really,
Okay,
yes,
great.
and I'm really glad that we are
Yeah,
able
thank
to
you
hear
so
you
much,
now.
Kaki. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really appreciate the introduction and the patience to, bear with me. And I'd like to thank
Let
all the
me,
speakers. I think we all.
yeah, let me just repeat the question that we have for you, just for the audience and everyone's recall value. And we wanted to hear from you that how the experience of if and how STEM can help in bridging the learning gap between the privileged and the underprivileged children, because you have so much of work doing with young children, stimulating minds. So that's something we would like to hear from you. Thank you. Over to you, Sunaina.
Thank you. So I think all the speakers have, we all have emphasized the importance of STEM and rightly said that it is, a very important. STEM is extremely important because it touches every aspect of our lives. Children have this innate curiosity. They love to find out how things work. They love tinkering with gadgets. When we introduce STEM concepts in a hands on and engaging manner, we further ignite this curiosity. We help increase their interest and a better grasp on STEM subjects. Children are better prepared for their studies to opt for similar careers later in life. So I guess we all agree that STEM learning brings a deep understanding with it and the ability to recognize our own true potential, the extent to which we might be amplified by modern science and technology. There is also, but what I would like to emphasize on is that we have to make STEM learning equally accessible to all. Having had the opportunity to work with children from all sections of society, I feel that the gaps in learning begins early in a child's life, making it difficult to catch up with their more advantaged peers. By introducing and reinforcing STEM concepts early and including girls in STEM, we can help turn this around. STEM education, it not only teaches concepts in science and math, they also focus on hands-on learning. Hello?
Yeah, Sunaina, I think your network is back now. Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah.
I think her network dropped again. So over to the other, part of the panel discussion that we have today is a very interesting part, which is the question and answer session. So let us slowly move to that, because we need to get on with the sessions today. And we have been having a lot of interesting questions that have been coming up on the comment section. And I would like to pick up a few from that and direct it towards the relevant panelists who are here today. And to start with, I can see a very interesting aspect which Dr. Rashmi Vij also talked upon. And it says women and minorities. So Sheetal, this is for you. Women and minorities are usually underrepresented in the STEM career fields. As such, the role of companies to address these challenges becomes critical. We would love to hear from you about some of such programs designed to attract and retain individuals in STEM careers and support them through on the job. So, would you like to throw some light on this aspect?
Sure. Women in general are underrepresented. And of course, the problem multiplies when they come from however we are describing minorities here, whether that minority is being created again due to disparity in availability of opportunities because of socioeconomic challenges or any others, reasons. So I think whatever I say here is applicable in general to women, and of course then to the subset of minorities. Overall, as a society, we can do better. The figures, the statistics that we have are damning, not just in India, but overall in the world. I think there have been so far about more than 850 Nobel Prizes since the time the prize was, initiated. And I think out of, if the number is correct, it might be 850 plus. The number of prizes that have been given to women have been, say, around 50. Okay, so that's the statistic for now. The Nobel Prize does not really say, that's not a characteristic of how people move in STEM. I mean, people, but this is just one statistic I'm giving over here. And overall, even if you look at university positions in India, women professors in science departments must be somewhere in, say, single digit numbers if you look at the overall percentage. So what we can do as a society is, of course, from the beginning, make a very supportive ecosystem so that we can support women in not dropping out of science streams, especially when they have entered the stream and got into, at the level of college education, just because they are supposed to manage both, the primary responsibility of being a scientist as well as being somebody who has to take care of the home and kids. So because that is a very tough period in a woman's life, and it is important that as a society, whatever supportive ecosystem can be created by the family as well as the workplace, that is given. Now, people may see this as special advantages. I don't see these as special advantages because these are also special situations where a person, just because a person is an XX chromosome and not an XY chromosome and has been naturally ordained to, take the civilization forward, because the woman is the only one who has the childbirth capability. So it's a special situation. It's not an easy thing. It's a physical and mental behavioral changes that the governments are anyways doing it. Indian government has already increased the duration of maternity leave, and that to paid, at least in government institutions and now also in private institutions. I know there's been a lot of debate around the world. The best thing would be to make it in not a maternity or a paternity leave, but a parental leave, so that together the parents can decide how to manage their lives and children and careers together, whenever it works best for the woman or the mother or the father. So that's one way of doing it. Second could be, and I think COVID and this all work from home situation has actually led the society on to those things where people just come to work now as themselves and not as some made up, corporatized or, formal personalities. So if today in a video call, if someone's son or daughter comes and sits in the lab, it's no longer a problem. It used to be highly embarrassing earlier, right? We've all seen that BBC father dad clip 2-3 years ago. So it's no longer treated as embarrassing. I think overall as a society we can accept that work and family can go together. Third would be really bringing up some role models. Now, whoever has been able to, or whoever had in the past been able to reach those levels or those positions where someone has become a role model, as a society, we should really talk about these people. These can go as lessons for idealizing or people to idealize, in the society. So there can be films made, books written. These guys can be given some positions which where there's more visibility that's coming to them. I know again in the last year around the same time, I think the government announced that there would be chairs in universities set up in the name of women scientists that India has produced. And I think that was a welcome step, because that way, at least people will get to know. Again, they may see it as an undue advantage, but it is not, because this is something we have to push consciously in our society and in our education system, that young girls are able to see that they could reach there because somebody else has done it before. So it is normal. And yeah, given the right support systems.
Thank you, Sheetal, for those insights. And now I would like to ask Ravindra a question that came up. To build a skilled workforce, taking advantage of the demographic dividend, India needs to reach out to young students and provide them research training opportunities. India can take a leaf or two out of the success stories of the United States, which leads the world in research and R&D. What are your views on this?
Yeah, so there's always kind of, if you talk with the industry and education system, because since we have gone through the education system and now we work in the industry, so there's always some disconnect. So there's the biggest complaint is in the industries, like, the people who are getting, higher education, they are not trained in a way that how the industry function, because everybody learn once they get the job. So there seems to be some disconnect. So what can we do to fill that gap? So people need to be like, especially in the STEM area, people need to be trained on those kind of novel techniques, like where the world is heading and hands-on experience. And there are certain programs like in the US in order to give that exposure to young student right from like in the school, so they get exposure to do internship and to co-op to bigger pharma industries or other sectors, so that helps. And since we are talking about STEM, like given that everybody think like the US is like kind of leading in innovation technology, but if you look like even in the US there's a bigger emphasis on the STEM education, and there have been emphasis in the school, the kids been like given opportunity like project based learning and more interaction, in that sense more thinking. So I see that difference, because when my kids are going to school and then they come up with the questions and then they have to explain things, and the way they are like being taught. So I think like I didn't have that opportunity, like I learned about a lot of things in the school that time, but how it relates, like for example, there are real life example, like math is everywhere, everyday life we do math, like what is the time, how much things we are buying, and like what time the school bus gonna come. So you see that the numbers, we are dealing with those numbers, but we never thought of those things, like if we have any mathematical problem or any other things, like how that applies to daily life. We need to connect kind of the student in that space. And given like the STEM things like in the US, because there's still emphasis. And just to chime in, like to add another kind of things about like women in science, even in the US, like they've been like they are underrepresented, and there have been like programs and thoughts like how we can get like women in the science field, like how they can have like bigger kind of representation. Those things are happening. But the US, if you see most of the higher education that's are happening, so we attract a lot of talent from all over the globe. And many universities want to see here the people who are going for the PhD program, they are coming from different countries. In the US, people are not like taking those courses. So there's a need, as we said earlier, like STEM is not about like that you get the education, find a job. It's not. That's one part of that. It's more about like what can you create? Can you create some new job opportunities? can you change the way we are seeing in the small kids now thinking, coming up with the different solution for the problems that we are facing. So it's not about just, yeah, I get this thing, I get the grades. That's not the rewarding system that we built. It's not good for the future. So the best thing would be the problem based kind of education system, hands-on experience, and make them analytical thinker. And as we said earlier, the kids are in that stage. If you see that in early development, they are fast learners, they do things, and they are very curious, but over a period of time they lose the interest. So we don't promote that reasoning, questioning, giving that it's a kind of a kind of sandbox where kids can come, play, try different ideas. And again, we should not be judging the kind of in the kids. We need to encourage them. And failure happen. It's not kid fail and then say, oh, you can't do it. It's not the way to treat the kids. It's more about why we are getting education, to improve your skills, to help people, to build the society. That's the focus. And whatever they're going to do in that space, that will help. So we have to see in terms of totality, how the industry is functioning, what workforce we need. So for example, if you think even about the jobs, and then we are training people, they may not be right skill set, when they get good degrees, good qualification, but they struggle when they go to industry. So they don't know how they can do. So they have to learn on the job. So if we can bridge that gap, having more collaboration, and as we said rightly, given the technology that we have today, we can connect. That's the good part. It doesn't matter where you are. If you have internet, you have a cell phone, and you want to learn things, there are ways to reach out to people. So people can help in that aspect. So as a globe, it's not only just within India. We can have people from outside of the India to connect and then help in that direction.
Yeah, thanks, Ravindra. That was interesting. And I have a question for Dr. Rashmi Vij. You talked about teacher training aspect and how you are stimulating them. So in terms of STEM, I would definitely like to learn from you, because we are also promoting the cause. And other than that, one another aspect which you really talked about, which Sheetal also spoke about, and all of us resonate the same thoughts, is how to make the girl children, the girl students, take up STEM as an option and get interested in the subject. So what is it that we need to do in that direction? So these are the two aspects that I want to address towards you.
Thank you, Gargi. I would like to make all of you recall the movie Three Idiots. If it's a girl, she will become a doctor. If it's a boy, he will become an engineer. The movie keep advocating it right from the beginning to end. So we have a lot of gender stereotypes in our country. And I have done a lot of action research, and I was accredited by British Council for the same, in which I talked about how in our Indian classroom, girls naturally feel that they are not good in science and maths. I've come across more girls saying I'm not good in maths than I have come across boys. It is similar to women driving less on Indian roads. I'm sorry to say that. There will be less women drivers for Uber and this thing. Because anything which is challenging, anything which involves a fear, because I'm a psychologist, I look at it from that point of view. Because in our country, women are more insecure, more fearful. So whenever you have to surmount a fear, as somebody in the panel discussion mentioned, that maths is like becoming a phobia, or one is scared of such subjects. So I would like you to think about it, that this factor really works while they have to select subjects. And because women are generally raised up that get a good education, because some foolish person is studying for you somewhere. He is becoming an engineer who will fund you. You only have to become his wife, right? So it's a really recent time that we are trying to bring out young girls out of that. Otherwise, they would get good education because they would get a good husband, right? So what past we are fighting? So we first have to go into those psychological or cultural factors to understand where it is coming from. And then as I said, that the way it is taught in the Indian classroom, it is again very much responsible, because that joy goes out, that excitement goes out. And how I think somebody here, Himani perhaps pointed out very nicely, that it is when you take up STEM, you acquire certain skill sets which are required in all kinds of jobs you do. It is not only the STEM itself, right? So these are the things I think now that we are talking about, we need to talk more about it to girls and families and parents. And the social change is very slow to come because it's never visible, but it does come. We have seen a lot of girls coming up into various fields, and I was thinking of ISRO. It was so heartening to see that most of the scientist women who made the Mangal thing happen were women, and it was highlighted, and magazines and social media covered about it, and we felt a lot of pride. So I think that it was rightly pointed out just now that we need some role models for our girls to follow, like we always do. I want to be like this person, or I want to be like that person. I think that is what is required. And the family attitude, the societal perceptions, and of course that girls not looking towards their future as being somebody's wife or being known by somebody's name, and forming their own identity and getting their own fulfillment. That kind of things have to be talked about right from the very beginning when they're small girls, so that when they grow up, they form their own identity and they do whatever they want to do. And those fears, where it is just said that you take up a job which is comfortable and will not interfere with your family life. I keep telling everybody that once a woman goes out to work, every job is inconvenient, because somebody mentioned here that a lot of the professors are male for science subjects. When I turned into education, of course, because there is a lot of feminism in education. As for even if there is a girl who has done physics or chemistry or even MBA, I have girls coming to me to be appointed as school teachers who have done MBA, who have done BTech. And when I ask them, oh, I am married and my in-laws don't allow me. And I'm like, what is like this? What is this? So I think this kind of social change is really required in our country. And as Ravindra rightly pointed out, that US also struggles with that. It's not only restricted to our country, but slowly there are a lot of TED Talks available where the women engineer or women scientists are talking about their inventions and motivating and inspiring the young girls. So I see a lot of change coming. But as I said in my talk earlier, I feel that as such, there is a lot of change towards children opting for art subjects. Though there are so many STEM jobs available, more and we do not have enough workforce. But I don't know why in recent past few years, I have seen a trend shifting towards arts. I ask any of my art student, what do you want to do? I want to do psychology. So suddenly psychology is the in thing. And I realize I keep talking to my teachers, because when they study psychology, they can really relate to it, because that real life relation from our core subject like maths and science is missing. And will bring STEM into every classroom and make children enjoy science and make it seem a part of real life. I think the change would come. So we have to bring science STEM to our classroom and not restrict it to a lab in the school. That's what I feel will bring the change. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now very close to the time that we were supposed to close this discussion. So we'll just extend this for just a few more minutes. And I would like to really direct this question to Sunaina, if you're back and if you're audible, because we could not get an opportunity to hear from you. There was a specific question: what are some of the biggest hindrances that come in the way of promoting STEM education in India, especially in the rural pockets and low-income schools? Since you have worked with both the kind of children, so if you would like to throw some insights here. No, you are not audible. So maybe we go to the next question. And someone had a question for Himani, that since Airbus has been doing programs in the particular aspect of STEM, and we know that jobs in STEM will increase significantly in the years ahead. So, what kind of special programs do they have in mind for young adults that can get them employability to, like, say, 2 years STEM training, maybe a vocational training program? So anything on that, Himani? Is Himani there? I think she's dropped from this call. Today we do not have any more time left, and I'm really thankful to all the panelists who have been here and made this panel discussion a big success. I would like to now hand over this session for the closing remarks for the day. And for that, we have Seema Kumar, who's the GM programs. She takes care of the education as well as the women empowerment program at Smile Foundation. She's a woman who has been driven by purpose and a calling to contribute towards the social sector, having extensive experience working as a development professional with versatile experience ranging from working in education at NCRT to youth and women issues at different NGOs. She is leading these two programs I talked about, and she has been actively contributing towards strategic planning and designing of the education and the women empowerment program. And under her able guidance, we have been successfully progressing. Over to you, Seema ji.
Thanks, Gargi. Thank you for this introduction. And dear esteemed panelists and audience, on behalf of Smile Foundation, I thank you all for joining us for the discussion on this very important and much required STEM education. Thanks to all the panelists for their valuable contributions and inspiring thoughts towards the STEM education, Mr. Ravindra Kumar, Dr. Rashmi Vij, Ms. Sheetal Ranganathan, Ms. Himani Gupta, Ms. Benefa Pelicia, Ms. Sunaina Su, and Mr. Subrata Roy. And thanks, Gargi, for moderating it so well to bring all the important issues related to the topic within time. And thanks to the Smilians who worked on the content and technology support. We at Smile Foundation are making effort to make quality education accessible to children, especially from the lesser privileged groups. Education is all about the awareness, knowledge, and application in logical way. And as Dr. Rashmi Vij said rightly, STEM is way of life. It's about observation, reasoning, and finding solutions to the queries and problems. And the answer to creativity is integrating arts and STEM, called STEAM. I also agree with Ms. Sheetal Ranganathan that STEM education should be no more optional, but integral part of the education. At Smile, we promote experiential learning and prepare children as curious learners. Now, when new education policy is in place, educationists understand the importance of STEM education, and the corporates are ready to promote STEM education under their corporate social responsibility. I'm very hopeful that we will be able to bridge the quality education gap between the privileged and less privileged children through STEM education. Thanks, Airbus, for the support, and Himani for your insights on corporates' perspective on supporting STEM education. Thanks, Ms. Benefa Pelicia, for your insights on importance of STEM education for all children, whatever background they are from. Thanks, Mr. Ravindra, for your thoughts on importance of STEM education and how to make it more relevant to real life to make better society. This fruitful discussion gives us a direction on how we all can better integrate STEM education in the regular school curriculum, making it accessible for all children and promoting more and more girls to pursue science education. And on this note, I will like to close today's session, hoping to meet again to share our contributions and success stories while promoting STEM education. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.